Tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu sadhu. So today the sutta which we are going to take is a kind of a popular sutta which I think a sister has also taken, and some other teacher of ours may have also taken this. But I want to give my perspective on this sutta, because this sutta many of the times there's a part of it only is famous regarding the advice, that what advice should not be taken. But what the Buddha has told is two things. One part is that what are the things you should not kind of believe in. But then the Buddha has also told about what to do. And both the parts are important for this sutta. The sutta has become very famous for only one part of the advice, not the other part. And why the people of Kālāma are accepting the Buddha's teaching is because those teachings are also something which can be seen here and now. And when we see here and now what certain things, the truths are there, then we are able to follow them. So the sutta is Anguttara Nikaya, book 365, Kesaputtiya, means the children of Kesa, or Kesaputta is the place, and Kālāmas are the clan, or the name of the clan which is there. So on one occasion, the Blessed One was wandering on tour among the Kosalans, together with a large sangha of monks, when he reached the town of Kālāmas named Kesaputtiya. So the Kesaputtiya is the town's name. And the sutta is popularly known as the Kālāma, because the sutta was given to the peoples of the Kālāma. The Kālāmas of Kesaputtiya heard, it is said that the ascetic Gautama, the son of the Sakyans, who went forth from the Sakyan family, has arrived at Kesaputtiya. Now a good report about that master has circulated thus: that one is Arahant, the Blessed One is an Arahant, perfectly enlightened. And further descriptions of the Buddha is given, reveals a spiritual life that is perfectly complete and pure. Now it is good to see such Arahants. So the Kesaputtiya or the people of the Kesaputtiya Kālāmas thought that there is an ascetic who is here. He is considered an Arahant. We will go and see. So they had no bias. So they would go and listen to any teacher who would come, and they would respect. So they had this ingrained quality of going to the teachers and getting the teachings from them. Then the Kālāmas of Kesaputtiya approached the Blessed One, paid homage to the Blessed One, and sat down to one side. Some of them would come down, they would sit down to one side. Some of them would come and name their clan, that I am from such and such family, and then sit down. Or they would name their clan, and then they would kind of stand on the side. Some kept silent and sat down to one side. Sitting on one side, the Kālāmas said to the Blessed One. So, to be respectful to the Buddha, one stands very respectfully or sits down. We kind of remember that in Majjhima Nikaya 18, the Honey Ball Sutta, when the Dandapani comes, then he kind of leans on the stick and stands. That is not a right way, but you can stand respectfully or sit down. So they do the respectful thing with the Buddha. Bhante, there are some ascetics and Brahmins who come to Kesaputtiya. They explain and elucidate their own doctrines, but disparage, denigrate, deride, and denounce the doctrines of others. But then some other ascetics and Brahmins come to Kesaputtiya, and they too explain, elucidate their doctrines, but disparage, denigrate, deride, and denounce the doctrines of others. We are perplexed and in doubt, Bhante, as to which of these good ascetics speak truth and which speak falsehood. So there are teachers who come and give their doctrine, they give their teachings, but they say that this is the teaching which I give is correct and the other teachings are wrong. And in the same way, if there are two teachers who give the same kind of teaching, that this is teaching is right and that is wrong, then there is a doubt which is created. So they are asking the Buddha about it. It is fitting for you to be perplexed, Kālāmas, fitting for you to be in doubt. Doubt has arisen in you about a perplexing matter. Come, Kālāmas, do not go by oral traditions. So the Buddha is giving advice that when certain things are kind of confusing, then they are right for you to be confused. So don't go by oral tradition. Oral tradition is tradition which is carried on from one generation to another through orally transmitted. Like in the time of the Buddha, the Vedic tradition was there. It was an oral tradition. So one kind of generation would learn it orally and memorize it, and then the next generation learns from that generation, and so on and so forth. This oral tradition goes on. And these are all related to some information which is coming from externally. So in different manners. By lineage of teaching. By lineage of teaching is also in the same way as the oral tradition, but the lineage of teaching means there is a point of view which is taught by a teacher, and then the student will teach the same point of view to his students, and then that student will teach to another. That is the lineage. That is the teaching of the lineage. By hearsay. Hearsay is just that I have heard somebody say this in this way. If you do, it is good for you. So we hear many of the advice in the daily life, in our day-to-day life also. Oh, if you have cold, you have this or that, because they have heard somewhere that this will work for you or that will work for you. Somebody will say, have kind of say turmeric with like honey or something, some other advice they will be giving you. So that is the hearsay. There is no first-hand experience a person has, but he has heard from somebody else. By a collection of scriptures. The collection of scriptures means there are certain formalized way. Some information is kept in the scriptures or a book or something like that, where certain people believe in certain books. That this book has all the information and I will believe in this book because it is written in this book, because they have a full faith in what has been written in this book. So that is the kind of collection of scriptures. One has faith in the collection of scripture. So now you see that those four things: oral tradition, lineage of teaching, by hearsay, and collection of scriptures are something which is externally given to the person. So what is given externally to the person, that person accepts it and kind of goes by that what has been given externally. So there is no internal examination which is there. But in the internal examination also, there are four different kinds of internal examinations which you should not fully kind of believe in. One is by logical reasoning. By logical reasoning itself, you should not accept anything, any information which is received to you. Like one of those things are that logically, one problem for logic is, if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. That is logical reasoning. But in real life, that can not be kind of always right. Certain times the logic will not work. Like water which is there. Water boils as 100 degrees, you must have heard. But if you kind of test it on a mountainous region, you will find that the water does not boil at 100 degrees at a height. It boils at 100 degrees at say the sea level. So certain things we have to kind of experiment and see. And by only that we will know. Just by using the logic is we will not be able to figure it out. By inferential reasoning. Inferential reasoning is we infer certain information from the other person. Say we are having a visitor come and he says, oh, it was very hot outside and I was not able to even have a drink. So that means that we have to infer that the person which is there who is talking to us has asked for us to give them water. So what we'll do is I'll immediately give you water. So we infer the information. So certain things which happen or certain information which is given, we kind of infer what is happening based on the inferential reasoning. We kind of believe certain things. And reason cogitation. The reason cogitation means thinking, just thinking about certain things again and again, and coming to a conclusion. So Buddha has given a sutta in Digha Nikaya 1, the Brahmajala Sutta, about how just by thinking about certain things or applying logic to certain things by limited knowledge, then you can come to a wrong conclusion, or even if the inferential reasoning is there, by acceptance of a view after pondering it. Why acceptance of a view after pondering it means that the view which is there gives us a box. Okay, so any view is presented to us. So somebody is saying that the earth is flat, then we think from that view point only. Oh, I can see no edge when I see, or you kind of say that I can walk miles and miles and there is no end I can see, or certain things you use as logic, and then you say that, oh, this is maybe right. So whenever you are accepting a view and you are pondering on it, then what happens is you are creating a limitation of your thinking. That is the reason you should not accept something just by pondering on it, a kind of point of view, by the seemingly competence of a speaker. So this is a dangerous one, because many times what happens is that people who speak can speak very confidently. Because of their confidence, we kind of believe them. You must have heard the word con man. It came from the word confidence. It was called a confidence man. It started in, I think, a city, I think New York City. There was a man who would meet and kind of talk to a person on the street and then say, do you believe in me? Do you have confidence in me? The other person would say, yes, I have confidence, because I have no reason to kind of doubt you. Then if you have confidence in me, then I would like you to give me your watch, and I will come tomorrow and give you this watch back to you. And the person would be so kind of be impressed by the way the person is speaking, by the kind of the confidence the person had, that he would give this watch to this con man, and that person would take the watch, and then obviously he would not be there the next day, and the person would lose his watch. So that is what the Buddha is kind of warning, by the seemingly competence of a speaker. So a speaker may seem competent, but he may not be. He may have a confidence, but that confidence may be kind of not means it will not translate into actual knowledge. So people who speak confidently, who kind of have this way of aura which is there. So just by their kind of aura or their seemingly competence of speaking, you should not believe in them. Or because you think the ascetic is a guru. So just because you think this person is a guru, or is a person is a monk, I will believe it. That is also wrong. So those are the things, are the pitfalls of wrong view, or the pitfalls a person will fall into by kind of believing what is coming from externally, or by believing what you are thinking internally. Because internally, whatever you will think is limited to your information. The Buddha says that everything starts in dependent origination, avidya. That is ignorance. Because of ignorance, the whole cycle of the dependent origination happens. So there is certain things which we are not aware of. So we will have that limitation of that box. So you must have heard this word of thinking outside the box. So why is that saying goes outside the box? Because we have a limitation of our already existing information. So if you use logic, if you use inferential kind of reasoning, if you use cogitation, and if you use a kind of pondering on a view, all those has the limitations of our own information which we have, or our own limitation of knowledge that will kind of limit us. But if you kind of believe in the people, then also we have to be careful that if this person is looks like a kind of a god man, and he is kind of very calm, but the calm persona can be just a screen, you know. It can be one person can be calm on the screen and whenever he's interacting with people, but when he's interacting in the background, he may be kind of very greedy, and he may be demanding, he may be kind of very petty, but just to keep a view, he can be kind of have a view of a person who is enlightened. So you should not be just by the appearance believe certain person or anybody, individual. Or if the person has a designation, like a monk is there, or if there is just a monk is there, or is a guru, then don't believe just because he's a monk or a guru. Believe in the teaching which is there. So that is the reason Buddha is giving a warning of the things they should not do. Then, but the Buddha is also not leaving them at that okay, don't do this. But he's also saying do that something where the people can have confidence. So he is now giving the advice which is useful for the people. So it is useful for all of us. But when Kālāmas, you know for yourselves, these things are unwholesome, these things are blameworthy, these things are censored by the wise, these things, if accepted and undertaken, lead to harm and suffering, then you should abandon them. So what the Buddha is saying is that when you know for yourself that what is unwholesome, then you should abandon those things. So you should know for yourself by your own experience that it is there. So in your past also you may have an experience, and by those experience you will be able to know that. What do you think, Kālāmas? When greed arises in a person, is it for his welfare or for his harm? So a person who is greedy, will that person will do good or will he do harm? So if a person is greedy with, say, food, will he have more food or less food? When he has kind of greedy, then if he has a opportunity to get certain things, even if it is not given to him, would he be able to take that or not take it? Because that greed is there. So the Kālāmas know this, and they said for his harm, Bante. Kālāmas, a greedy person overcome by greed, with mind obsessed by it, destroys life, takes what is not given, transgresses with others' wife, and speaks falsehood, and he encourages others to do likewise. Will that lead to his harm and suffering for a long time? Yes, Bante. So a person who has greed will break the precepts. Where all the precepts are given are the 4 precepts, which is the first precepts of not to kill, second precept is not to steal, third precept is not to have sexual misconduct, and fourth precept is of right speech. The 5th precept is not mentioned because the 5th precept is given by the Buddha to the people of the or followers of the Buddha, that is the abstaining from intoxicants. And in the time of the Buddha, only that precept is given. So, but as the Kālāma has still not been followers of the Buddha, so the Buddha is not giving the example of the 5th precepts to the Kālāmas. Then the Buddha says, what do you think, Kālāmas? When hatred arises in a person, is it for his welfare or for his harm? For his harm, Bante. So when somebody is hateful, has ill will, has feelings of aversion, then those person will also do the wrong things. He will maybe if he does not like a certain animal, he may kill him. If he does not like certain things, that he has this thing and he is hateful about that person, then he may steal it from him. Then he may have sexual misconduct because of that. He may lie because of his anger and because of his hatred. So he may again break all those precepts based on that. So if he breaks those precepts, will that lead to his harm or suffering for a long time? So they say yes, Bante. What do you think, Kālāmas? When delusion arises in a person, is it for his welfare or for his harm? For his harm, Bante. Kālāmas, a person who is deluded, overcome by delusion, with mind obsessed by it, destroys life, takes what is not given, has sexual misconduct, has wrong speech, and he encourages others to do likewise. Will that lead to his harm and suffering for a long time? Yes, Bante. So the Buddha first establishes a groundwork. The groundwork is that these are the things which everybody will experience in their life, which is the greed which is there of other people. They will experience the hatred of other people. They will experience the delusion, that is the egoistical nature of people. This is me, this is mine, this is myself. I am the biggest, I am the strongest, I am the most wisest, I am the most correct in this matter. So all those are delusions. So those delusionary thinking a person will face. So everybody of you also will have instances where you have faced a person who was greedy, or faced a person who was kind of hateful, or faced a person who was delusional. So those things are personal experiences, and you know that if that mindset is there, then nobody benefits from that. If a person in a deal is kind of greedy, then that deal does not go very well because of this greed. Whatever business you are doing or whatever dealing which you are doing with the person will go south. Other way, if you cannot deal with a person who is hateful against you or has ill will against you, he will try and steal from you, or try and hurt you, and try and kind of take advantage of you. So those are the things are experienced. So by this experience, they are saying that yes, if you are dealing with somebody who has greed, who has hatred, who has delusion, then it will harm. What do you think, Kālāmas? Are these things wholesome or unwholesome? Unwholesome, Bante. Blameworthy or blameless? Blameworthy, Bante. Censored or praised by the wise? Censored by the wise, Bante. Accepted and undertaken, do they lead to harm and suffering or not? Or how do you take it? Accepted and undertaken, these things lead to harm and suffering, so we take it. So they accept that the greed is there, hatred is there, delusion is there, will not help. Thus, Kālāmas, when we said, come Kālāmas, go, do not go by oral tradition, but when you know for yourself, these things are wholesome, these things are blameworthy, these things are censored by the wise, these things, if undertaken and practiced, lead to harm and suffering, then you should abandon them. It is because this was said. So Buddha is kind of reiterating his point of view or his argument. Come, Kālāmas, do not go by oral tradition, by lineage of teaching, by hearsay, by collection of scriptures, by logical reasoning, by inferential reasoning, by reasoned cogitation, by the acceptance of a view after pondering it, by seeming competence of a speaker, or because you think the ascetic is our guru. But when you know for yourself, these things are wholesome, these things are blameworthy, these things are praised by the wise, these things, if accepted and undertaken, lead to welfare and happiness, then you should live in accordance with them. So the Buddha is kind of reiterating his point that when you know something is bad, you should not do that. That is, you should not have greed, you should not have hatred, you should not have delusion. So the kind of things which are there, everybody will kind of relate to those things. That when they are dealing with that, then they have always seen that there is harm in it. So they understood that those are the things which are unwholesome. What do you think, Kālāmas? When non-greed arises in a person, is it for his welfare or for his harm? For his welfare, Bante. Kālāmas, a person without greed, not overcome by greed, his mind not obsessed by it, does not destroy life, take what is not given, transgress with others' wife, or speak falsehood, nor does he encourage others to do likewise. Will that lead to his welfare and happiness for a long time? Yes, Bante. So when the person has non-greed, so he has no greed, he has no kind of desire to have somebody else's property, then he will not steal it. He does not kind of have a desire to kind of possess certain other things. Then he will not do other transgressions. So, and he will not speak lies, or he will not use wrong speech. So all these things he will not do, because he is not he does not have greed. What do you think, Kālāmas? When non-hatred arises in a person, is it for his welfare or his harm? For his welfare, Bante. So when a person does not have the feeling of harm, that is the feeling of compassion he has, then when he has a feeling of compassion, then he will not harm the anybody. He will not steal also, because he will have compassion for the other person. So the person may need this thing, and if I steal it from him, then he will suffer. So if that compassion is there, then there will not be any stealing is not there. There is no killing is there. There is no sexual misconduct is there. There is no telling of lies is there. So those things will not happen. Kālāmas, a person who is without hate, not overcome by hatred, his mind not obsessed by hate, does not destroy life, nor does he encourage others to do likewise. Will that lead to his welfare and happiness for a long time? Yes, Bante. So if he does not have hatred, then that will lead to his happiness. So that is known by the Kālāmas. What do you think, Kālāmas? When non-delusion arises in a person, is it for his welfare or for his harm? For his welfare, Bante. So when a person is not delusional, not taking it personally, not taking this is me, this is mine, this is myself, he does not have ego, then it will not lead to his harm. Kālāmas, a person who is undeluded, not overcome by delusion, his mind not obsessed by it, does not destroy life, nor does he encourage others to do likewise. Will that lead to his welfare and happiness for a long time? Yes, Bante. What do you think, Kālāmas? Are these things wholesome or unwholesome? Wholesome, Bante. Blameworthy or blameless? Blameless, Bante. Censored or praised by the wise? Praised by the wise, Bante. Accepted and undertaken. Do they lead to welfare and happiness or not? Or how do you take it? Accepted and undertaken, these things lead to welfare and happiness. So we take it. Thus, Kālāmas, when we said, come Kālāmas, do not go by oral tradition, but when you know for them yourself, these things are these things are wholesome, these things are blameless, these things are praised by the wise, these things, if accepted and undertaken, lead to welfare and happiness, then you should live in accordance with them. It is because of this that this was said. So the Buddha is establishing what is wholesome and unwholesome with the Kālāmas. So the Kālāmas know that what the Buddha is saying is not a theory. What the Buddha is saying is not a philosophy. It is not a bunch of ideas which is given, which will be kind of, or some ideas which are there where you do this in this life and then you will get the benefit in the next life. It is not something which they cannot see here and now. So whatever the Buddha is giving them examples and giving them the context is something anybody in their own life will be able to see that this is true or this is false. And in that way, he kind of establishes a trust of the people. Then Kālāmas, that noble disciple who is thus devoid of longing, devoid of ill will, unconfused, clearly comprehending, ever mindful, dwells pervading one quarter with a mind imbued with loving kindness. So after the Buddha has kind of established confidence in the Kālāmas, then he is giving the practice. Then the practice which is giving, interestingly, is of loving kindness. And this is the practice of direction. So what he is saying is, ever mindful dwells pervading one quarter with a mind imbued with loving kindness, with a mind imbued with compassion, with a mind imbued with altruistic joy, with a mind imbued with equanimity. So the Buddha is teaching him the Brahma Viharas. So Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekha. So the whole Brahma Buddha is teaching. Likewise, the second quarter, the third quarter, and the fourth quarter. Thus, above, below, across, and everywhere, and as to all, as to himself, he dwells, pervading the entire world with a mind imbued with equanimity, vast, exalted, measureless, without enmity, without ill will. So the Buddha is teaching the teaching of the Brahma Viharas to the Kālāmas. This noble discipline, Kālāmas, whose mind is in this way, without enmity, without ill will, undefiled and pure, has won 4 assurances in this very life. So the Buddha is saying that if a person is following the Brahma Viharas, if he is doing the metta meditation, and then it kind of goes into the compassion and altruistic joy and to equanimity. If the person is doing this, there are some assurances you can get in this very lifetime. So you don't have to wait for the next life to see those benefits. The first assurance he has won is this: if there is another world, and if there is the fruit and result of good and bad deeds, it is possible that with the breakup of the body after death, I will be reborn in a good destination in a heavenly world. The first assurance is that if there is another world. So why is Buddha saying if there is another world? Because the Kālāmas, he does not want to give any information which is something where they have to have faith. So the Buddha is saying that if there is another world, then you will get benefit in that world. The second assurance he has won is this: if there is no other world, and there is no fruit and result of good and bad deeds, still right here in this very life, I maintain myself in happiness, without enmity, ill will, and free of trouble. So when a person does the Brahma Viharas, he gets the benefit immediately, and that immediate benefit in this world itself is that he has happiness, he has no enmity, and he has no ill will, and he remains free of trouble. So that is the second assurance. The third assurance he has won is this: suppose evil comes to one who does evil, then when I have no evil intention towards anyone, how can suffering afflict me, since I do no evil deed? So the third assurance is that if an evil thing somebody else does, then they also are affected by evil things. If I am not doing anything evil, then I will not get affected. You must have heard this famous phrase that if somebody is kind of digging a hole for somebody else, then the person who to fall in would be the person who digs the hole himself. So that is the thing the Buddha is saying, that if you have no evil intentions towards others, then evil will not happen to you. The fourth assurance he has won is this: suppose evil does not come to one who does evil, then right here I see myself purified in both respects. So again, this is the same concept, but it is in a different way. He is saying is the fourth assurance is he has won this in this is this: suppose evil does not come to one who does evil, then right here I see myself purified in both respects. So that if you are not doing evil, then evil does not come to you. Then I am in both the respects, I will not have evil. Some message has come. Sorry. So it is blessed one. So it is fortunate one. This noble discipline, whose mind disciple, whose mind is in this way, without enmity, without ill will, undefiled and pure, has won 4 assurances in this very life. So they are kind of saying that they also agree that this 4 assurances is there. If a person does good, then maybe if there is another life, he will get benefit in the other life. And if he does this good deeds like the practice of Brahma Viharas, then here and now also he gets benefit. And by not having evil intention to others, or not doing evil deeds, because when your mind is purified, you will not do evil deeds. So by intention or the action, the evil thing is not done, then evil thing will not happen to the person. So in that way, those 4 assurances is accepted by the Kālāmas. This noble discipline, excellent Bhante, we go for refuge to the Buddha, or the Blessed One, to the Dhamma, and to the Sangha of Bhikkhus. Let the Blessed One consider us lay followers who from today have gone for refuge for life. So the Kālāmas who kind of were confused are now convinced with the Buddha's teaching, because the Buddha is teaching something where you can know for yourself what is the truth and what is the falseness. And by knowing for yourself, you can progress in this practice. So first, the Buddha is establishing what is the things which are not good. The greed is not good. Having hatred is not good. Having delusion is not good. Being without greed, being without hatred, being without delusion, that is having clarity, that is the good things. And then when you are practicing, you practice for the welfare of all beings as to yourself. So when you are doing in all directions, you are also giving that metta to yourself, because it emanates from you and it goes to all directions. So when you are doing the practice of the Brahmaviharas, if you start with metta, it automatically in time it matures and it becomes karuna, then it becomes mudita, and it goes to equanimity. If anybody has done a retreat, would have experienced this happening in stages. So when a person practices in this way, then he creates happiness for himself and peace for himself and clarity for himself here and now. And then those clarity and happiness will also lead to his benefit here and now. But if there is a possibility that there is another world, then he will gain that benefit in the other world also. But the Buddha is also saying in many other suttas, this is not told to Kālāmas because the Kālāmas were a little confused, and there were a lot of different teachings were given to them. That is the reason. But in many other teachings, when the Buddha is giving the teaching to other people or other students of his, he has mentioned that when a person does the teaching as per the Buddha, does the Brahmaviharas as per the Buddha, then the minimum fruit he can expect from that is that he can get into anagami or an arahant in this very life. So when you are practicing regularly and you are practicing, then you will also grow in your understanding, your wisdom. And when you are growing in your wisdom, that will lead to your kind of giving up greed, giving up hatred, and giving up delusion. And by doing that, you progress on the path of the Nibbana or the path of awakening. When you are progressing in the path of awakening, then the ultimate goal, the ultimate release is also possible from the Buddha's teaching. So what the Buddha is telling to the Kālāmas is what not to do, but also what to do. And that is surprisingly what what Bhante Vimal Ramsi has been teaching us. That is the practice of the Brahmaviharas. So this is the end of the sutta reading. If there are any questions, we are open for that. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
This particular tradition, oral tradition, or this logic, and the other one parampara, the lineage.
Correct.
These three things are there in the practice earlier, before Buddha.
Correct.
What is that extra Buddhism, experiential way we have to, but without any concept are we going? Because all the three above three are concept based.
Yes, they are based on concepts, and they are also based on experience which somebody else has had. So when there is an oral tradition, there is a experience of somebody else. Say there is a rishi who had done a tapasya, and then he wrote about his experiences. And then his disciples learn that and then recite it and keep it, and then they give to their disciples and their disciples. So the context of that awakened discourse is lost. The context is lost. That's the reason it just becomes empty teaching. But the Buddha's teaching is, as you said, is experiential. So what the Buddha is saying is that he is giving instructions, and it is you who kind of follow this instruction and get the awakening, or the information is given, but that information is turned into knowledge by your practicing it. So that is the difference, as you have kind of pointed out. That is the same thing.
I wanted to ask you,
yes,
what are the doubtworthy points of these three traditional concepts?
say oral tradition, one of the suttas Buddha is talking about the Vedas. Now when the Brahmin comes and says that we believe in this Vedas, the Buddha asks, is anybody of this group of Brahmins which you have they experienced what is said in the kind of the Vedas? They say, no, we have not experienced. Has your teachers experienced this? They said, no, we don't know of any of our teachers who have experienced this. Have the teachers experienced it? They said, no, we are not aware of any of them. So that means that they become just theories, because there is no practical application of those oral tradition or the information which is given, because there is no practical. That is the loss of the actionable this thing. So there are many things which are said in the Vedas are very similar to what the Buddha has talked about, being free of hatred, free of greed, free of delusion. All those things are also mentioned over there. But the context in which those were said is kind of lost. So that is one way of the oral traditions are there, the hearsay is there, and the by lineage is there. Those things are losing those aspects, which are the context in which those teachings were said. And then the actionable items which are there, where our input comes and our effort will be be able to put into that. So those things are lost on those traditions. That is the reason the Buddha says that just because they are true for some, say, Rishi 7 generations before, it is not your truth. So there is a sutta about how to maintain the truth. In that, the Buddha is explaining in detail about this aspect.
Agree. And our experiential is only on account of six sense base.
On the account of six senses, correct.
That's what it boils down to, six sense base.
Correct. So the Buddha says that the world is from the tip of our head to the tip of our toes. And that means that this is our world, and whatever we experience in this world is the six sense basis, and there is nothing beyond six. There is no seventh sense.
So we gain knowledge only through experience by six sense, with the help of six sense base.
Correct.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions? Any questions related to meditation or any other topic also we can raise over here. So if people don't have questions, then we can kind of end the meeting. We'll share the merits. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, Devas and Nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I got a bowl, so I remembered Sister Khema liked to end the meetings with three sounds of the bowl. So I'll be using that. Thank you everybody for coming. Okay, I'll have to stop the recording.